This man took a fright when he found out that he and his dog were not alone. One of the best parts of having a dog is when taking time out for a walk with it. And they like it a lot. But at the same time, a walk with your pet can be something really nice. Unfortunately, we don't have complete control over everything that happens around us, so we may end up being surprised by something. That's exactly what happened to a man named Trent who had to walk his dog. He was surprised by something that's sure to shock you. He and his dog Loki live in Florida in the United States, a place known for its heat, especially in the summer. So during a walk by the lake, Loki decided to go into the water. But a terrible thing happened. Trent realized that something was approaching his dog. Unfortunately, he couldn't stop it from grabbing on to one of Loki's paws. The man claims that as soon as his dog was grabbed, he realized it was nearby. His dog was being attacked by a frightening giant crocodile. Probably anyone in this situation would be scared and couldn't help his pet, but it didn't even cross Trent's mind that he was a brave former U.S. Army sergeant. The first thing he tried to do was pull the collar off because he might be able to get Loki's paw out of the crocodile's mouth. He soon realized that was not a good idea since the crocodile would not give up that easy. So Trent had no choice but to get in the water and face the huge reptile. He says he didn't think twice about jumping into that lake to save his dog, but that wouldn't be an easy task. As soon as he entered the water, he realized that he would have to do something to get the crocodile to release his dog, because if he tried to pull back, Loki's paw could be torn off. So bravely, Trent stuck himself further into the lake and started hitting the crocodile's head very hard until finally the monster released his dog. But that wasn't enough to save him. As soon as he pulled Loki out of the water, he realized that the dog wasn't right. Trent says that when he put him in the car, he could see his broken bone and even thought his paw was hanging on by just a piece of leather. As soon as he took him to a veterinary hospital, the doctors started working so that Loki could recover. A small cast was put on his paw and also a cone around his neck so that he wouldn't end up taking off or biting the cast. Thanks to the courage of its owner, fortunately, Loki would recover. But it wasn't over yet. Trent was so angry with that crocodile that he was determined to catch him anyway, especially so he wouldn't attack anyone else. With the help of the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission, he started a crocodile hunt. As far as we know, he couldn't capture it, but we're sure he will continue to try to catch this terrible crocodile. Number 2. The big cat found with big belly. And you'll be surprised why. It's increasingly common to find abandoned cats in the streets. Unfortunately, most of them live in terrible conditions and often end up dying due to disease or even hunger. However, some have the luck to find a kind and good-hearted person who strives to take care of these defenseless animals. This is exactly what happened to a kitten found on the streets who was visibly very sick. In fact, all the people who had been there were scared by her huge belly. But luckily for her, when a man saw how difficult the cat was to walk, he decided to do something to help her at first. Although he found the belly really big, he imagined that maybe the cause for the swelling was obesity, or maybe the kitten was pregnant. But it was clear she needed help. So he took the cat off the streets and took her to a veterinary hospital. The doctors, as soon as they saw the situation of that kitten, immediately started doing several tests to quickly find out the cause of all that swelling. When they got the results, they discovered that she had a disease called a cyst that causes an accumulation of water in her abdomen. And that was the reason for that huge belly, and so immediately began the treatment to drain all the liquid. As a result, more than 2 liters were taken from inside the belly of that kitten. Of course, that kitten would still suffer with many pains as it felt before the treatment, but surely with time she would start to get better. As far as we know, the treatment is not finished yet, but that kitten fights courageously every day to overcome her disease and to stay alive. Number 1. With just one word, that child said, the judge knows everything he needs. Most couples dream of having children and building a real family, but unfortunately, some couples just aren't lucky enough to have children. That's what happened to a couple named Taylor and Mandy Palmer. They were used to facing challenges together, such as a long time without seeing each other because of an army call for Taylor. But the biggest difficulty they would face was still to come since they were married. Their dream has always been to have a child, and thus build a beautiful family, but something completely unexpected would take that opportunity away from them. Mandy was suffering from a disease called Crohn's disease that causes an inflammation in the intestine region, and because of this disease, according to the doctors, she could never have a child. This news certainly shook that young couple a lot, but they're not those kind of people who give up easily. The two talked and decided they would find a way to make their dream come true. That's when they had a huge surprise. Shortly after they made that decision, news began to spread throughout the region where they lived. This news showed the need for foster parents due to the large number of abandoned children. He says that here it was almost like an answer from God to their prayers. It was the perfect opportunity at the perfect time, and that's how they met a little baby that would become the passion of their lives. We're talking about Rand, who met the couple when he was only 8 years old. When the couple saw him, they immediately made themselves available to adopt him. But that would not be easy because having a child is completely challenging and can even become frightening for some parents. And this challenge becomes much more challenging when they talk about having an adopted child. Although half of Italy, they were determined to make their dream come true, no matter the difficulties. They say they felt a little insecure about this adoption process. That's why they decided to stay a year with maintenance to see if they could adapt to their new home and if they could be good parents for the child. After that 1 year as maintainer, they had already made their decision, so they went to court with all the documents they needed and set a day to officially adopt Rand, who would definitely become their new son. But they could hardly imagine the surprise they would have on the day of the hearing. Well, I don't even need to talk about the enormous joy and anxiety that those parents were feeling on the long-awaited day of adoption. They invited several family members and friends for the occasion, and just before everything became official, little Rand would do something that would make everyone emotional. At one point, Rand looked at Taylor and said the word "Daddy," and he started clapping. Everyone on the spot was completely moved. It was almost as if that little baby understood what was happening. That was all the judge needed to hear. Immediately officialized, Rand was now a member of the Palmer family.